Hello students, and welcome to a really quick intro to fallacies. So this is just a really quick introduction to fallacies that I feel is important. So as you're doing your assignment this week, you kind of know what to watch out for as you're reading and as you're picking what to do for your discussion post. So we'll probably go more in depth in regards to the fallacies later on, but I just wanted to introduce you guys really quickly to them. So the first one we're going to be discussing is hasty generalization. So this one, you may know it as a stereotype, or that's one type of hasty generalization. So it is a conclusion based on insufficient or unrepresentative evidence. So one example is you visit a new country and someone is rude to you in their airport. So you text your friend telling them that everyone in this country is rude. Again, that's based off one small sample size, one person, and thus could be considered a hasty generalization. So the next one that we will discuss is assumption. So this one you may be familiar with. So this is a claim that is taken to be true without the need of proof. So this is something that we probably do day to day. We assume, right? We assume based off the facts that we know, and we may not know all the facts. Thus, it is an assumption, right? So say someone is late to work. So maybe a coworker says, oh, she must have been out late. But it could be that maybe she was late because she was dropping off her child, or she just woke up late, not because she was out late. The next one is bandwagon appeal. So this is also a really common one. So this is states that a proposition must be true because the majority says so. So the example is Katie does not like social media, but all her friends have Facebook, so Katie decides to join Facebook, right? So that is if your parents have ever said to you, oh, because all your friends are going, so you have to go, right? The saying goes, if all your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to do it too? So that's a bandwagon appeal. So one way to avoid fallacies is by introducing your thesis, which will hopefully establish your position on the issue at hand. And by establishing your position, you'll establish your credibility by showing that you are knowledgeable about both sides of whatever you're arguing about. So the reason that it's important to know both sides of the argument is because you will be able to essentially predict what the reader may say about your argument, right? Or try to contradict your argument. So you have to anticipate that by educating yourself on what the other side is saying. So here's some key points. Again, very brief, and we'll probably go more in depth later on, but these are just the key points that I want you guys to take away from this presentation. So thesis, we all know what a thesis is, right? It's a clear position on a debatable issue. It can also be stated as a claim. So this frames an argumentative essay, which we'll be working on much later on in the semester. So this issue has to be debatable because reasonable people can disagree about it or with it. And then it's the examination of the issue's context. So this indicates why the issue is important. So when you're picking what you're going to be arguing about, you want to make sure that you ask yourself, how does your position fit into the debate surrounding the topic, right? So how can you include yourself into this conversation, and why should readers care about it? And evidence is the next one. So evidence supports your thesis or claim. It must be sufficient, representative, and relevant. You want to make sure, again, that it supports your claim. It always has to refer back to that. And it has to be persuasive, of course, so you can use quotes, summaries, or you can also paraphrase accurately, of course. And you just always want to keep in mind and keep it in the back of your head, your thesis, your claim, so your evidence can correlate with that. And then opposing positions, as we mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you establish common ground with your readers and show yourself as a reasonable and well-informed writer. And a well-informed writer knows about not just their position, but also the other side, right? So these should be summarized and countered. And you want to, as I mentioned before, anticipate the objections to your claim. You want to anticipate what the other side will say. So as you go through this week and you read and you try to decide what you're going to be discussing, just keep those fallacies in mind so you can pick a good example.